Hello and welcome to the Athletics and I Talk With podcast. So I'm Isaac McCollum and I'm joined by Grace Carson, a Mid Ulster AC athlete who came sixth of the British Euro Cross Challenge back in November, which secured her a spot on the under-20 team for the GB and NI team for the Euro Cross Country in Turin of December, which was in December, sorry. So this was the first time a Northern Ireland athlete represented GB and NI at the European Cross Country Championships in 25 years. And that's older than both of us.
Yeah, it is.
So that's fair enough. It's quite scary to think. So Grace, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, I'm well. Yeah.
Very good. So you're back in Northern Ireland for a few days. So
yeah.
What's that for? Is there any particular reason? Or?
Yeah, so I am working for a company called Nuffield Health. So basically they've opened a clinic now in Belfast. So I fly back and forward and work there a bit. So yeah, kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm in England for a bit, at home for a bit.
Very good. So whereabouts in England are you living
at? Birmingham. Yeah, so it's very different to kind of where I grew up. I grew up in the sticks, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and Birmingham is very busy, city life, and yeah, but it's good.
So you were originally at Loughborough, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why did you move to Birmingham?
Because I kind of was stuck in a bit. So after I graduated, I was kind of like in that kind of area where I knew running was still really important and I still wanted it to be a big part, but I wasn't going to be able to fund a lifestyle or wasn't going to be able to survive solely off that. So I thought this job came along and it was in Birmingham and it kind of felt close enough to Loughborough where it wasn't too far, that it was like the middle of nowhere, and yeah, that's kind of why I applied to it, and then the rest is history.
Very good. So we're gonna go through your list of PVs. Mm-hmm. Actually, before I do that, what course are you doing in Loughborough?
Sport and exercise science. Very good. It gets the name for kind of being a good uni for sport and exercise. I picked it because I knew it's a good uni for sport, and that's
Yeah, I was at St Mary's, so.
You were one of the rivals.
I was one of them once. So.
You were one of them.
But yeah. So.
Did you do box and all that then?
Yeah, I did box.
With the they're blue and white, aren't they?
Yeah, blue and white. Yeah. Big up St Mary's if you're watching. So yeah, we'll go through your list of PVs now. So we'll start from 800 right through to 10K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So 800 is 232.75. 15 433.26. The mile on the track, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
445.53, and the 3000 is 916. 5,000 15.57, and 10,000 33.45. Moving on to the road, we have a PB of 16.24 in the 5K, and then the 10K 32.45, which is 2 seconds quicker than me. So
that
one hurts, not gonna lie. So actually, I was going to say something. We'll move on to what I was going to say in a minute. So do you want to reflect on those PBs?
Obviously, the 815 could do with a bit of work, which, speed is something that I'm still trying to get in those legs. I think my strength will probably be longer stuff, but you need the speed as well. So you can only avoid it for so long. But 10,000 kind of. I'd like to try in this season. The aim is to try and get the 5,000 and 10,000 down a bit lower. Kind of. Yeah, I'd like to get it.
What sort of time are you aiming for?
I feel like I'd like to be able to kind of replicate what I can do on the road in terms of the 10K. Hopefully, be able to kind of get that replicated on the track, and it's there. It's just putting the race together. And with the 5,000, yeah, I mean, I'd like to kind of get, I mean, yeah, 50, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
We'll see.
See how the season goes.
Yeah, so we'll move on to your unbelievable cross country season. I think unbelievable is a understatement, to be honest. But we'll go through the main races. I've left out like one or two.
Yeah, maybe. We can forget about the low key ones.
Yeah, these are the high key ones. So you came second at the Autumn Open International down in Dublin.
Yeah.
Second at Milton Keynes British Cross.
Yeah.
What was it?
Consistent,
yeah. And then sixth at the British Cross Challenge. Which secured you on the GB and NI team for the European Cross. Were you your fifth?
Yeah.
Do you want to reflect on that whole experience?
Yeah, so like I started off, like obviously started the cross season, I kind of like, my coach was like, yeah, you're in good shape. But we always knew there was a slight possibility, but I'd been kind of close to the team before and been in the reserve a lot, like different times. So, and anything can happen on race day, anyone can turn up. So that to get the vest at Liverpool finally felt, yeah, like it was finally there, kind of that belief that I had that it was possible. It was all kind of it fitted together. And then I suppose, yeah, like the Eurocross was, yeah, it was my first kind of time going like, at the Europeans, and it was amazing atmosphere. It's just, yeah, a really incredible kind of race, and yeah, I didn't go in with any expectation, because I think that's the thing I kind of said, getting there was an achievement and anything else was going to be a bonus. So to come in the top 5 was surpassed that.
And team gold as well.
Team gold, yeah. So yeah, that was nice cherry on top.
Nice, yeah. And then is that you? Do you want to take it? So that was the first half of the season, we'll say.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to 2023, where you started off the start of 2023 with a win at the Northern Ireland and Ulster Senior Championships. Quite a comfortable win.
It was, I mean, I was just like, I'll just go out there and see what happens, and yeah, it was quite a nice win. Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah. How was Billy Neal?
It was actually like, because they've changed the course since the last time that I did it, I think.
When did you last do it?
I did it at like did they used to do home countries there, I think.
I think, yeah.
So that was maybe it was like 2021. They used to do home countries in around like January time, end of Jan. And the course is slightly different. So I definitely think they've made it harder. Like that kind of uphill is a lot more steep. And
the last time I did Billy Neal was the year was bucketing down. Like it was really bad weather. I
didn't do it that year. No.
It was awful.
That would have been
I remember like I was so cold. I had like do you ever get when you're so cold you can't physically warm up?
Oh yes, it's the worst. And you actually feel like
I felt like I was stuck. I couldn't move. Yeah, that was an uncomfortable experience. Being so cold.
Yeah, it's not nice. That's one thing.
No, that's
don't like cross country.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm training for triathlon at the moment. So,
oh, okay. Yeah, so. Nice. Bit of a change.
Yeah, came 14th at Lisbon Triathlon, so not bad.
Well done.
First one. So I'll take it.
Not bad, that's right.
Yeah, got absolutely destroyed in the bike, but when I mentioned
there's room for progress. Yep. Take it as you learn from these. It's all about the building blocks.
Yeah, so if anyone has a time trial bike, I would love to use it. So we'll move on to the intercounties. So from that win at Northern Ireland and Ulster Senior, it's a rush.
At least we're not out in that.
Yeah, at least we didn't do it outside this time. Or actually, I haven't done it outside anytime. So you got selected for Northern Ireland and Ulster at the intercounties, where you also got a win. How was that experience then?
That was like, it was. I mean, it was a good atmosphere. It was the last one of the season, so I think it meant a wee bit more kind of just to finish on a high. And I suppose I kind of went in, there was like a bit, like there's always kind of a bit of press and it's like, oh, Grace could be in the mix, but I didn't really look at that and just kind of went in, did my own race. My coach had kind of told me to try and like stay in the pack kind of for as long as possible, but there was a bit of a kind of, at this where I decided to kind of make the move, a girl had kind of fell, and it was I was like, I don't really want to get caught up in all of this. So that's whenever I just decided, like, you're better probably just run your own race, and that's what I did.
Very good. What was I going to say? It will come to me. On the note of coaches, who is your coach?
Bill Foster.
Okay.
So he was my coach at Loughborough, and I've just kept him since because he gets me with a good like rapport, and he's a pretty good coach.
Yeah. So has he moved on to Birmingham now?
No, so he's still there. So I'll kind of like go between Birmingham and Loughborough. I kind of travel up some Saturdays to train with them. I'm actually going to a training camp with them to Nice on Sunday. So like I still keep in contact with them a lot, and kind of FaceTime and video call every other week as well. So
very good.
Kind of regularly keep in contact.
Very good. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. So dealing with like the press. So like how do you deal with that? Like
I just choose not to.
Not look at it.
Yeah, I just don't like look at it because there's no point. It just gets into your head, and then you don't need that. So
So
I just
it out.
easiest way.
Don't blame you. So do you want to reflect on that whole season, just in general?
I think like I'm just grateful for like the success that I have had, because I think in sport you can't take anything for granted. You can so easily pick up an injury, and that's kind of, that's your season, or you can't put the races that you want together. So I think I look back and I'm grateful that I have been able to achieve what I have, and hopefully serves me well going in now to track.
Very good. So we'll move on to I've kind of split the podcast into like 3 kind of sections. So that was sort of like your PBs and achievements.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just go on to like these are kind of like generic questions, I suppose. So do you want to tell the listeners just a bit about yourself, like what you're doing? I suppose you kind of have done that already, told them what you're doing at the moment, but any interesting facts or anything?
So, interesting facts. I'm not that interested. I am working as a health and wellbeing physiologist. So I kind of get to coach people or advise people how to improve their health through like exercising more, eating a healthier diet. So I quite enjoy that bit. Also, I often will talk about like running with them, and then suddenly like I'm able to kind of share, different personal experiences with them. So it's quite good that way. I like meeting new people and building up a fan base with all. So I do enjoy that. But I suppose fun facts. I do a bit of painting, like a bit of artwork.
Oh, interesting.
Haven't been able to do as much of that recently because just haven't really had the time. But it's quite therapeutic and enjoy that.
What sort of stuff do you paint? Just anything?
Anything and everything, like literally, like dogs, animals,
animals and
landscapes.
Or just anything?
Anything going. Yeah, I've done a few people, although they're a bit harder because if you muck up an eye, it's a bit of an issue. Whereas in a dog, it's not as big of an issue.
Yeah. Oh well.
So yeah.
So you see when your clients, I suppose, when your clients come in, what's their reaction when you tell them your times you've run?
No, normally, like I first of all, I don't just be like, So I'm Grace Carson. I
Oh,
ran.
yeah, I know, well, obviously.
But like like if they start talking about running and then we get talking about 5K times, I'll be like, oh, so what are you aiming for? And normally like they're respectable times, but then they'll be like, oh, do you run? And then we get on to the conversation. And
Do you like downplay it? Or are you just like, no, not really?
yeah, I normally just they're like, go on, tell me, and then I'll say a time, and then they're like, so what level do you compete at? And then we get talking, and then they're suddenly very interested.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Are they like blown away? They're just like,
yeah. I mean, I think because like for like just everyday like runners, I suppose, or like couch to 5K runners, or just people who go out, they're like quite shocked. But so quite nice.
Because even if I say like my times, some people they're just like, you must be going to the Olympics. I'm really not.
No.
I'm really
but
not.
I love how like automatically it's like Olympics. So like there's a lot of steps.
Yeah, I was like, doesn't that work that way? No.
Yeah. But so that's quite fun.
Yeah. So how would your friends describe you in 3 words?
This is a really hard one. Like, I think I actually was asking like my sister and like my dad how they would describe me, and they said smiley. That was one. I was like, okay, right, is that a good thing or bad thing? Also they said probably quite driven. So if I have like a goal, want to focus on, I'm quite driven to achieve that. And they also said, I suppose as well, approachable. That's kind of the same. Yeah. So
Fair enough.
You can approach me.
Yeah.
I'll say hi. So yeah.
So how did you get involved in running? Like, did you play any other sports when you were younger, or?
So believe it or not, and my height would not tell you this, I used to play netball. But I was kind of centre, the one that did all the running about. So from that I kind of was always and a nickname that I was used in like netball was the Terrier, because I used to just like run and
just run.
So then I realised that netball probably I wasn't gonna go much further than just kind of school level. So then they needed someone. It was actually the blood test, that you do at school. And I just naturally kind of was quite good at it, and then from that they needed someone for the cross country team. So I kind of forced my friend along to cross country training. She'll hate me forever for it because she hated every minute of it. I loved it. I got that, runner's high, that buzz. So I was ready, raring for the next session. She left it at that. And from then I realised kind of just going to cross country training after school wasn't going to be enough. So then joined Mid Ulster Athletic Club, where Barry Holmes kind of took me under his wing, and the rest is history. Yeah,
here we are.
We are. Just like that.
Yeah, easy. So this is a bit of a different one. I came up with this one myself. So I haven't stolen this from many other podcasts. So if you had to go on a training camp with any athlete, past or present, who would it be and why?
Really hard one.
I know. I don't know. I don't even know who I would pick. Yeah,
like, because you don't really know what. Who seems really fun, like their personality, like Jazz Sawyers. Like I feel like she'd be like quite fun to go with. So maybe her. Like I feel like she's quite bubbly and kind of could have a good bit of banter and stuff. Yeah. Like no one too serious where it would be too intense all the time. Like you want
something funny.
Yeah. So maybe her. Yeah. Jazz, if you're watching this. Yeah, you're a long jumper. I'm a runner, but
my work, might happen. Never know. I don't know who I choose.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Someone funny, like I don't know. Mo Farah, maybe he seems quite
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Or Andy Bouchard or someone. He seems funny.
Yeah.
Someone that's funny, you know.
Someone that's funny. That's what we're going with.
What's one failure you thought you've learned the most from, either in running or in general?
I think, I don't know if this answers your question, but I think when races, or just like one bad race doesn't define you. Like one bad training session doesn't mean that the rest of the training week is a write-off. Like you can learn a lot and sometimes as much from the bad races and the training sessions that maybe don't go to plan as you can from the good ones. So yeah, I think that answers that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What does success look like for you in the future?
Oh, these are tough questions.
Thank you.
I think success, first of all, is to be content and happy in with running. Like I think if you're not happy, if you're not enjoying the sport, then everything else, it just doesn't come together. So being happy, being content, first and foremost, being healthy and injury free as well. But I suppose success, I think a goal would be to get to the Commonwealth. So I feel like I believe that it's there. I've just put it out to the world now, so
back it up now.
Got to back it up. But yeah, I think no one knows what's in the future. But yeah, I suppose if I could, get some big competitions and get experience there, compete against the best, and see where I stand.
Yeah, don't see why not. Dream big.
Exactly. Yeah. Watch the space.
Do you have a funny story you can tell the listeners? That's reasonably DG.
Really do not. A funny story.
Mark told me one.
When I was obviously racing at the Northern Ireland and Ulster Senior Championships, I thought the race was Saturday. The race was not Saturday. I was actually Sunday. My flights were also booked to fly back on Sunday morning, which was before the race.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great move on my behalf.
Oh.
So I obviously got to the race, but there was a bit of stress between that because for a moment I didn't know if I was going to get racing or not. So actually to come away then with first place after thinking that I might not actually even be there was a bonus in itself.
Pretty good, yeah.
So yeah.
I'll take that one, yeah. What further improvements would you make within the sport?
I think that there's a big drop off between school level with girls, especially in running. So, I've seen it, and even in Northern Ireland, and I've spoken to some of the girls who are still involved in it. There's a big drop off from you kind of high school, upper sixth, and then people get to uni, and they've shown lots of potential, but they get to uni, and then that's where it stops. So I think if there was more support within the sport to kind of bring more people through, more girls especially, encourage them to kind of get involved at uni. I don't know what that would look like, but I suppose having role models in the sport is one way. So yeah, I think.
So why do you think there is such a high drop-off rate? Is it just the uni sort of culture thing, do you reckon?
I think the uni culture, I don't know, maybe because a lot of people, because it's just the norm, people follow a trend, and what kind of one person does, you kind of see that, they tend to follow a trend. So it's maybe that. Also, I suppose, not that sport is masculine, but it's still dominated by, it's still that type of thing where I feel like a girl has to work a bit harder to be or get the same recognition as a male will if they, there's a lot more talk almost whenever a male achieves success than a female. So I think that could be one way, but obviously that's not going to change overnight. And yeah, I think that's maybe one of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good answer.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you listened or watched actually, because there was a video version of the previous podcast with Nick Griggs and Colin Morgan, which took a lot of editing. Thank you very much, boys. But after, I forgot to ask them this during the podcast, but after the podcast, I asked them to give me a few questions to ask my next guest, which they didn't know it was you at the time. So this is the next question.
Okay.
Of course.
Yep. Ready for it.
So, in your opinion, what's your favorite shoe company within athletics?
Oh.
He also added this. The correct answer is Puma.
I was going to say, that. Yeah. I had to hint that. Well, I actually use different trainers because I'm not tied to a particular, unlike Nick. So
a sheep on there tied.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm gonna give not a straight answer. Brooks for easy runs, Nike probably for sessions.
What shoes are you wearing there?
Actually, sorry, Nike for like racing, so the Dragonflies spikes, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Saucony.
Wait, hold on. There is a correct way because me and someone from my club discussed this week. It's Saucony.
I would like their flats, so that's 3.
Okay.
Which doesn't.
Which type? I take it the nice percents for
the. I don't know.
No, for the Nike ones.
So I actually the Dragonflies and then
Dragonflies.
Vapor, is it the Vapor Flies?
The Vapor
with the ones with the carbon. That's what I'll use to race in sessions. I actually need to upgrade my session shoe because I feel like I've had it a while. But the one that I use is like the Speed Endorphin.
Oh, I use them ones. Yeah, they're good.
They are. Yeah. They're quite nice.
Not sponsored Securely, by the way.
No.
But, or Saucony, sorry.
Yeah. Although if you want to. No problem.
Yeah. Or no, not me. But yeah. So this is Colin's question. Colin's was a bit more sensible.
Okay.
Thank you, Colin. What motivates you to keep training when things aren't going well?
I think that feeling whenever, like, trying to remember and think back to the good races that you've had and that feeling that you've felt, but also, so that's one aspect that kind of motivates, but also I suppose the family support and knowing that it's not just for me, but it's for my family and friends who make up like the success I've been able to achieve, because it wouldn't be possible without them. So yeah.
Very good. So we're moving on to the third and final section, and then that's really it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna say a few phrases, and then you'll just give me a response, basically. Okay. So potential sponsorships.
Is this who I am sponsored or potential sponsorships I would like?
Have you got any brewing at the moment?
Or
that you can say.
Yeah, I can say one at the moment. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone knows them, but Semcor, they are like a cement work company. Okay. Back in Cookstown, so yeah, I'm currently sponsored by them.
Very good.
Yeah, thanks Semcor.
There you go.
Yeah. If anyone needs cement, they're the people to go for.
Trying to think, do I need any cement?
Probably not at the minute.
No, not at the moment. But I'll get in contact with them.
You'll know who to get in contact with.
Yeah. You got a discount code?
I'll get that for you.
Any other potential sponsorships?
At the minute, no.
No.
Not at the moment, but watch your space. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Half marathon and marathon distance, or marathon distance.
Half marathon or marathon distance.
Like
choose between the two.
Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't really explained this very well. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, would you consider moving up to those distances in the future?
Yes, probably. Yeah, although not for a while. Yeah.
Not for a while. So you're gonna stick to the 10K as a limit
at the
or
minute.
the maximum.
Yeah. So. At the moment, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite session.
I quite like one which has a tempo, but actually I also like. So I give this answer in a different podcast, but now actually reflecting, I think I prefer this session. Okay. So one session that I liked was it's 10-minute easy, 15-minute tempo, 10-minute easy, and then like hills at the end. But actually, I quite like a 400 session. Like 12 400s, I quite like that.
That's very different.
Yeah, I know. So actually, yeah, very different. It also depends on the mood. Sometimes you just don't want to do something that's going to really hurt. And
yeah, I get what you mean.
A tempo's kind of a wee bit more variable.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favourite session?
What, running wise or just?
Yeah, running wise.
Well, this is one we did at uni. It was a really long session, but I did enjoy it. So, so I was over in St Mary's. So we would meet at the uni, and then do you know where Richmond Park is in London?
And I've heard, and is that like Bushy Park? No.
It's like it's near Bushy Park.
Okay.
So it's probably like a few miles away. So we'd meet at the uni. We'd run to Richmond, which was about at least 3 miles. So it was a long warm up and then run back. So long cool run as well. And then off the front we did 10 minutes. Oh, usually between 7.5 and 10-minute tempo on the front, and then we do hills. So the hills would range from the hills are roughly they'd usually go 60 seconds, 45, 30 sort of thing. So they would range from I think what's the max I did? I think I did 666.
Okay.
So that was a bulky session.
It was a bulky one. That's what that'd been.
Yeah.
That'd been some amount of miles by the end of it.
Yeah, I think was it 12, 13 or something by the end of it. Yeah. So it was hard, but it was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
fair play.
Those sessions got you strong anyway. So.
Strong for the winter.
Yeah.
It's what's got you here.
Yeah. Well, it got me injured as well.
Yeah.
But we'll say nothing. So as we're coming to the end of the episode, I want to give you the chance to tell the listeners everything you have going on at the moment, anything you want to plug or say.
So I first of all, I want to thank Semcor for their support, because it's helped a lot, just with being able to balance things a bit better. But also thanks to my family, friends who put up with Grace when races don't go to plan, when races do go, and for all their support. Just hopefully we'll see how the track season goes, but hopefully more success to come.
Very good. And this is the last sort of thing. What's your next big race or any races that are coming up that you're targeting?
So next big race will probably be Night of the 10K PBs. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. So I was at it last year. It's a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
like that.
So that's also the UK Championship race. So that's kind of the next big one. And then possibly the 5,000 at British Champs as well. Then a few BMC races as well, probably in there. This is going to be my first year into senior, so I'm going to just kind of see where I am with everyone and just play it by ear.
Okay, so that's the end of the podcast. End of episode 3. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. See you when I see you. So.
See you.